Welcome back to another edition of the Knight Report podcast. I'm your host, Mike Broadbent. Joining me once again is my co-host, Richie O'Leary, and Rutgers beat writer, Alec Krauthamel. Rutgers has added its fourth commitment to the class of 2025 for hoops, this time in Chris Nwuli. He's a 6'8", 205-pound power forward, plays at Sierra Canyon in LA for high school. He also plays on the same AAU team as Lino Mark. We'll get into his game, how he ended up as a Rutgers commit, and everything around this kid in general. But first, this podcast is presented to you by Knight and Day Apparel. Get ready for football and tailgating season with Knight and Day Apparel. Our apparel is designed to keep you comfortable and stylish from the pregame excitement to the final whistle. Whether you're grilling in the parking lot or cheering from the stands, our high-quality gear has you covered with unbeatable comfort and team spirit. Use our promo code RutgersRivals to get 10% off your purchase. Score big this season and keep shopping with Knight and Day Apparel. We are also presented to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for everything football. BetOnline is every stat, matchup, and even live odds and spreads to bet on during games. If you think you know your stuff, get in on our $200,000 mega contest and pick 5 games against the spread each week for your chance at weekly prizes and a share of $200,000. When the game's over, head on over to our online casino and get in on a game of blackjack or poker, or unwind with one of our 150 slot games. Head to the website today and get in on the action. BetOnline, the game starts here. All right, Rich, let's talk about how this kid ended up as a Rutgers commit. I know he's been to the school. He was on an official visit the weekend of the Washington game. Mm-hmm. How did he end up landing as a Scarlet Knight?
So Rutgers wanted a 4-man in this class, and they got one. Chris Nwuli's had quite the journey. He's went from Wasatch Academy, I probably pronounced that one wrong, in Utah, to Bishop Gorman in Las Vegas, and now is at Sierra Canyon in LA. So if you know anything about high school basketball, those are 3 of the biggest West Coast teams. I guess technically Utah's not West Coast, but whatever, you get the point. 3 of the biggest west side of the country teams in the country. Well, I'm talking like an idiot now. Anyway, he got an offer back in late September and scheduled an official visit almost immediately. Now, before that offer, he had a top 6 list of schools featuring Louisville, San Diego State, USC, UCLA, Utah, and TCU. So it didn't even seem like Rutgers was involved at all. And then they got involved very late. Marlon Williamson did his thing and got him committed relatively quickly. They got him on campus a few days after that offer for an official visit the weekend of the Washington game. Loved the atmosphere, loved everything about it. Built a really strong bond with Marlon Williamson. Marlon Williamson, former EYBL director of the family AAU program. So he has a lot of connections throughout that circuit. And it's a big reason why he was able to get in contact with Chris Nwuli. Because Lino Mark is his high school teammate, AAU teammate with the Oakland Soldiers. They were also recruiting AJ DeBansta, who's number 1 in the 2026 class, and they kind of stumbled upon these guys in the background. AJ DeBansta is also a part of that program. That is just an insane AAU program. They have number 1 in 2026 and number 2 in 2026, along with Lino Mark, along with Chris Nwuli, along with another kid that's ranked in top 120. But yeah, no, they got him to campus. He fell in love with it, and he's all in on Rutgers now. It's a solid get.
Alec, from watching his tape, what are some of the things that stand out to you that he does well? You're muted, Alec.
You're on mute.
I'm back. My dog likes to bark at nothing now. She's getting up there in age. Love you, Sheba, but quiet it down a little bit, please. Anyways, yeah, I'm back now. The biggest thing that stuck out to me, he just runs the floor pretty well. He knows where to be. Now, I mean, especially with a lot of the AAU film, you can't always take what you see 100% because a lot of the time it's a lot of offense, not a lot of defense. But he's finding himself really well. His teammates are finding him at a good spot under the rim. He's run the floor pretty well. His jump shot is developing. It's a little bit on the slower side, but the form, I mean, it looks good. It's improved as his high school career has gone on. Again, it probably needs to speed it up a little bit for it to be a weapon at the college level, but I mean, it's been improving. I mean, he's just one of those guys that he's a good foreman. He's going to give you a lot of effort, really on both ends of the floor. I've seen some good rebounding. Again, just really good under the rim, just knows where he needs to be. His teammates have been able to find him. And I'm sure having Lino Mark play with him, that starting point guard on that team that, you know, a lot of the guys are able to find him is going to help as well. So, and like Richie said, I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, AJ DeBansta, and then you got Lino Mark and Chris Nwuli as well as another top kid in college in high school basketball. I think this is just insane. And it's not like, it's not like he got no interest at all. He's got pretty much all of his offers are from high majors, minus San Diego State, which probably could be a high major in its own, just not in the conference. But a lot of impressive offers. I mean, other offers talked about the top six: Louisville, San Diego State, TCU, UCLA, USC, Utah, Arizona State, Ohio State, St. John's, and Washington State. So very impressive offer list. He did visit Ohio State. Not an unofficial visit, Ohio State, back in September of 2023, which I thought it was 2024, but last year. But anyways, it's a very solid get. Again, there's a guy who is in the right place at the right time on the floor. He's improving in a lot of different ways. 6'8", 205. That's definitely really good size for a four. It feels like Rutgers hasn't exactly had the four man of that, like a traditional four man really at that size in a while. So yeah, it's a solid get, and adds to this 2025 class that. They struck out a few times, but they're starting to get some of these guys. And I think Smoke Williamson is racking up some frequent flyer miles. He's getting all over the West Coast, whether it's California with Mark and now Nwuli, or Seattle for Caden Powers. I mean, he's going all over the place.
So, Rich, Nwuli was a guy who, in his sophomore year, he was ranked 15th in his class, and he was ranked between 15th and 28th at every recruiting update that Rivals has done. The last update, he went from being ranked 24th to 117th. So he's still a four-star. He's still in the top 150. Why did he see such a big drop-off in his ranking the last update?
Well, I will say, for starters, before anyone's like, oh, it's the Rutgers drop. He's dropped on every single network so far, except ESPN, who I'll be honest with you, I don't think they know what they're doing when it comes to recruiting. But between all the other three main networks, he's just dropped significantly. He's always been super athletic, like Alex said. He's always been able to run the floor in transition. He can play defense. He can get up and play above the rim. His jumper's really, really broken. Where it was, I should say. It looks a little bit better. It's just very slow now. When I asked about him today, or yesterday, I should say, I was told he's just very, very limited offensively. His jumper is really slow to come together, and that's a serious problem. He makes a lot of weird decisions. I was just talking recently in the Rutgers St. John's recap about shot selection with Ace Bailey. Like, he'll take some erratic shots, but he'll nail a good chunk of them, and that's all that matters. This kid takes erratic shots and is just not making them. He's looked great physically, and he's always been above average athlete than almost everyone on the court, but he just hasn't really translated that offensive game. I think people saw him originally and thought oh shit, if this kid can just get his jumper down, that's it, game over. This kid could be a top 25 prospect. So there's a high ceiling for this kid. And I would kind of say he's a better version of a Mawat Mag. I hate saying that because I feel like I said that last class with Dylan Grant and Bryce Dortch, but these guys are all very similar in style. They're all very athletic. They all can get to the rim. They all can play defense. They all rebound pretty well, but they just are so limited offensively that I find this get really interesting too for that aspect, because you kind of have two of the same mold already in Bryce Dortch and Dylan Grant, who seem like they're 4-year players. Obviously, portal is what it is and could throw a wrench in everything. But to bring in a third guy with a similar build, similar skill set, now I think he's a little bit more polished offensively than Grant and Dortch. But again, same build, same skill set, same position. So it's a little bit unique to see what Steve Pikiell's trying to do with this roster, but a high ceiling kid nonetheless.
So this puts them at 4 recruits in the class of 2025. Where do you see the rest of the class rounding out, or is this probably the last guy that they add for the class?
So they did offer Trent McLean, a 2025 kid. I know I only posted about him recently. He's also a power forward at 6'9", 205. Now, this offer was made right before, or I'm sorry, it was made during the visit, right before the visit for Chris Nwuli. So I don't see them adding another guy. Now, mind you, if someone pops up late, like in maybe the second signing period, sure, you can go find someone, but I think as of right now, they're just going to stick with the 4, and then they're going to go heavy in the portal. This is a roster that you really don't know what's going to happen next year. Like I said, portal is definitely going to play a factor. It plays a factor with every team now. If guys look, Dylan Grant and Bryce Dortch didn't see a single minute against St. John's. If they don't see a single minute, or they see limited minutes all season long, you know how it works. Kids are with the portal option now, you can just leave whenever you want. And you can go somewhere else and be like, all right, well, screw this. Why the hell would I be here if I'm not going to play? So as of right now, obviously, Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey won't be on campus next season. So there's 2 ships. You have I'm trying to think who else. Tyson Acuff, that's 3. Zach Martini, that's 4. PJ Hayes, that's 5. That's 5 ships open. You're filling 4 of them, so you have 1 left. Now, there's options here. Does Jeremiah Williams return for a 5th, 6th season of college basketball? So that could be another ship. Do you think all these guys are going to stay? That could be another ship. So I still think they're going to hit the portal pretty heavy with like 2 to 3 ships along with these 4 guys.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And like you said, there's always going to be movement in the offseason, so you probably are looking at more. Not saying any individual guy is going to leave, but that's just the way things go in college basketball in 2024.
Yeah.
Anything else from either of you guys on this commitment that we haven't talked about?
I think he's, like I said, a high upside guy. I do want to say, Alec, San Diego State is back in the power conference conversation.
Right.
So don't disrespect the, I don't even know.
I don't know who's in.
Don't disrespect the Aztecs.
I don't know who's in the Mountain West and who's in the Pac-12. It's impossible to keep up with.
Well, anyone that has the last name State is basically
Probably,
in the Pac-12.
I guess that does help my points. That means he has all high major offers at that point.
I take it back.
Although is the Pac-12 a high major? Who knows? That's
I think hey, they get a college football playoff bid, don't they? Or they will. They'll have a good shot at it, I should say. They don't
And they're adding Gonzaga for basketball in the future too.
Yeah,
so.
they're gonna be, yeah, don't knock them, man. That's the Big East of the West Coast. It's everything the Big East wanted to be, and then some. Like,
including San Diego State and Gonzaga being in it.
Yeah, there you go.
But
so
yeah, I mean, I think Steve Peichel, if you asked him his preference, I think he would have 13 guys of the build of like 6'6", 6'7", with like a 6'10", 6'11" wingspan, just long, lengthy. They play all 15 guys there. If you ask him what he would prefer, it's just kind of the mold that he wants, that he can build. Like you said, kind of a Mawat Mag-esque type build where you can play a lot of defense. You're really long. The offense still developing, but there's definitely tools there. So, yeah, I'm interested to see how this works. And like you said, Richie, how it works with some of the other guys who will be back next year.
I think this also makes the class a lot better, too. Like, before Nwuli, I'm looking at it. Leno Mark's solid, but he's small. Javante Ware. Jury's still kind of a little bit out on him. I don't really know what to think of him so far. I'm curious to see what he does because he suffered a lot of injuries. And then Caden Powers, I think you can argue might be the most sure thing of this group. I think Caden Powers is a really good 3-point shooter, and that's what he's coming in to do, basically. He has other skills, of course. He can drive to the rim. He can finish a little bit. He's not the greatest at it, but he has a finishing ability. But I think that this is not the class people wanted, but I still think it's a very solid class now with Chris Nwuli on board.
Totally agree. Excited to watch more of this basketball team this season, and it's good to know that we're refilling the pipeline on the other end as well. So that's all we got on this one. This is what the 6th or 7th pod we did this week, so not a whole lot to kind of talk about other than this commitment, but we want to thank everybody for listening. Again, we're doing a giveaway for the basketball season start, an Ace Bailey replica high school jersey and a Dylan Harper replica high school jersey. If you want to get in on the action, 2 ways to enter. The first is our preferred way is if you give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and mention Rutgers Madness in the review somewhere. That'll get you 2 entries to the contest. Also, you can comment below Rutgers Madness in the YouTube comments. That will get you 1 entry. But we want to thank everybody who's already entered. We have a ton of new reviews, so thank you for that. I want to thank everybody who's listened to any of our shows and told a friend, subscribed, liked our content. That's helped us grow significantly this year, and we're excited to continue this momentum with the basketball program into the 24-25 basketball season. But thanks again for listening. For me and Rich and Alec, this has been another edition of the Knight Report podcast, signing off.